Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to take a look at the Mortal Kombat games released on the Game Boy line of systems. And it's not gonna be fun. And I am a huge fan of the Mortal Kombat series. Like, it might not be as big as it was before, but back in the 90s, it was extremely popular. Like, there were spin-offs, action figures, trading cards, a comic book series, movies, and a Saturday morning cartoon. And yes, that actually exists. And we can all agree that the worst of these cash grabs were the ports on the Game Boy. And now, let's get into it. Well, since it's the start of the video, it's appropriate to start with the original Mortal Kombat that was released on Mortal Monday in September 1993 along with all the other ports, and oh boy, this port is terrible. Like, the game feels very slow and sloppy, and the controls are just as bad, like just to the point where it's unplayable. Like, the controls either feel delayed or they don't even work at all. And good luck trying to pull off special moves or fatalities, because they are very hard to pull off with the unresponsive controls. Like, I pulled off a special move once by accident, but I couldn't even, like, pull off a fatality once while recording this video. Like, people give the Super Nintendo version a lot of shit, but haven't played the Game Boy version for a few minutes, and they'll be begging to go back to play the Super Nintendo version. And once you beat the game as Goro, all the names of the characters are changed to the name of the developers. I don't know why they would put that in. Like, were they proud of their work, or were they so ashamed with this game that they found a way to punish them for it? But anyway, let's move on to the next one. Here's Mortal Kombat 2 on the Game Boy, and now this is Mortal Kombat on Game Boy done right. It's a huge improvement compared to the first game. Like, the controls are responsive, the special moves and fatalities are way easier to pull off, and it's a better game overall. But the only drawback is it doesn't have the full roster from the arcade and console versions, like similar to the first game. And still no Johnny Cage. But all I gotta say is Mortal Kombat 2 is a very solid port, and I would totally recommend this if you really want to try it out. And it's made by the same people that made the first Mortal Kombat port. Maybe they were having an off day or something when they were making that port, but oh no, it's great. Now let's move on to the next one. Unlike the first two games, Mortal Kombat 3 was developed by a completely different company, and it shows because this port is awful. Ugh. This game has all the problems that the first game had, but the game looks 10 times worse. If I described all the issues with this game, I would be repeating myself with the issues of the first game. Like, I would imagine any kid being disappointed if they got this game, if they asked for a copy of Mortal Kombat 3 because their parents didn't know any better. And fun fact, this is like the only original Game Boy game that I know of that was rated M for mature by the ESRB, which I know there's a lot more games on the GBA that's rated M, but I think this is the only one on Game Boy. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. Real quick, we're gonna skip over to Game Boy Advance, and the GBA has way more powerful hardware than the original Game Boy, but does that make the game better? Let's find out. And here's Mortal Kombat Advance. It's just a port of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 to the Game Boy Advance, and it's considered one of the worst GBA games, and it's the lowest rated Mortal Kombat game, and it's not hard to see why. The AI in this game feels very cheap. Like, I could hardly win a match because the AI keeps pulling special moves every second, and even if you try to block them, they always cancel out your attack. The only way I was able to win a match was to figure out an exploit. You just have to keep walking to the other opponent, and they would keep walking back. And you just have to throw a couple punches, and even that was hard. Yeah, this game sucks. Avoid it at all costs, but it's not even the worst game in this video. Moving on. 1 year after the abysmal Mortal Kombat Advance, Like, the GBA got a port of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, and instead of making a traditional 2D fighter, they made the game 3D movement, just like the console version. And the 3D graphics were recreated perfectly on the GBA, and you can press the L button this time around to change different styles of moves during fighting, but it hasn't aged the best. Like, the 3D graphics might have been impressive back when the game was released, but just looking at it now, not so much. It's a solid port, but I wouldn't see anybody going back to this game, like, unless if you have nostalgia for it. But this game was updated and re-released 1 year later and renamed to Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition. Like, it added more characters and removed some characters, and it fixed some of the bugs and balance issues with Deadly Alliance. If you want to try out this game, then the Tournament Edition is the way to go. And both games are a solid package, and I would be happy with either one, but I would still prefer to play the console version. Well, since it's a YouTube video, we can't end on that note, because I saved the worst for last. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brace yourselves as I present you Mortal Kombat 4 for the Game Boy Color. Where do I even start with this game? Like, the graphics in this game look like complete ass, and the colors in this game look like a clown threw up on it. And the game gets worse from there, and I hope you like that annoying background, because that's all you hear the whole game. From the title screen, to the fighters select, and the actual game itself, you hear that terrible soundtrack over and over again. And it's looped every couple seconds, or that's what it feels like. And there's some voice clips scattered in. And that's what took most of the room on the cartridge. And I'm wondering what the fatalities look like. Wow, I'm disappointed. Rather than actually animating the fatalities for this game, they took frames from the arcade version and put it on a Game Boy cartridge. Here's the real question. How long did it take them to make this game? Like 10 minutes? And they even took frames from the Mortal Kombat 3 port, and that shows that this game was rushed. And how is this game even sold on store shelves? Not only it's easily one of the worst Mortal Kombat games, it's also one of the worst games I've ever had the misfortune of playing. Like, listen, I know I shouldn't go too hard on it, since it's a Game Boy game, but come on, they could have done way better than this. Yeah, avoid this game at all costs. All I gotta say is, before I end the video, is both Mortal Kombat 2 and Deadly Alliance / Tournament Edition are very solid ports on the Game Boy line of systems, and I would highly recommend checking them both out. But I would not recommend checking out any of the other games I mentioned on this video, because they all have most of the same issues. Especially Mortal Kombat 4 on the Game Boy Color. Like, Mortal Kombat 1 and 3 have the same issue with slow gameplay, terrible controls, and shitty graphics, and Mortal Kombat Advance has the issues with the really cheap AI, like, kinda terrible controls, and the game just being a terrible port of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and Mortal Kombat 4 is a completely different story. Well, that's all I have to say for this video. Until next time, thank you for watching.